What do I need to do to please the gods and goddesses to favor me over my cousin? His high priest told him that he had to build a heiau, which was a place of worship. It was kind of like today's churches. And not only did he have to build this heiau, but he had to sacrifice someone at this heiau to please the gods and goddesses. So Kamehameha got to work. He gathered him and his men, and they grabbed all these beautiful rocks and built this beautiful heiau. But then they needed a sacrifice. Well, if you're at war with your cousin and you need a sacrifice for your heiau to please the gods and goddesses, who are you going to sacrifice? Your cousin. So Kamehameha sent word across the island to his cousin and said, "Come, cousin, I just built this beautiful heiau. Why don't you come check it out?" Well, the cousin's high priest told him not to go. That if he was to go and check out this heiau, he would come back in ghost canoes. Meaning everyone who went to go check out this heiau was coming back dead. At this point, the cousin was tired. He wasn't winning over Kamehameha. He was just sacrificing his men. And he was like, "I'm done. I'm going to go be the sacrifice my cousin needs me to be. And he's going to be your guys' chief." The cousin didn't want to be the perfect sacrifice for Kamehameha, though. So how does a guy become imperfect? Well, Kamehameha's cousin decided that he was going to cut the tip of his member off. And that's how circumcision became a thing here in Hawaii. No, so he cut off the tip, and he was like, "Okay, I'm going to go be the sacrifice, but I'm not going to be the perfect sacrifice. I'm not going to be the pure sacrifice that Kamehameha did." So then the cousin got into the canoe with a few of his men. They paddled over to the hill. They got to the shoreline. Kamehameha and a few of his men were waiting there for them. Kamehameha said, "Come, cousin, let's embrace." Well, as soon as the cousin stepped foot off the canoe, Kamehameha's men speared him down and killed him and sacrificed him on the hill. And then killed everyone else that was with him except for one guy. One of the high priests were saved. Kamehameha told him to go back to the other side of the island and tell his people that he had conquered, finally defeated his cousin, and that he was the chief of the big island and they had to follow Kamehameha's ruling. And what do you do after you've conquered one island? You go and conquer another one. So he worked his way over to Maui and he conquered that one. He worked his way over to Oahu and he conquered that one. By the time he got to Kauai, his army was so large and so scary, and the chief of Kauai didn't want any of his people sacrificed for something he already knew they were going to lose at. So when Kamehameha got to the shorelines of Kauai, the chief of Kauai laid down his spear and said, "We're yours. We surrender peacefully. Our island is yours." And that is how Kamehameha conquered Kauai, and actually Molokai as well. So when they built statues of Kamehameha, we've got 4 of them around the islands and in the States. Oahu has one, Kohala has one, which was his birth home. Downtown Hilo has one, and Washington, D.C. has a statue. The statue that we have in Hilo was at one point on Kauai. Well, after a few years of it being on Kauai, the people of Kauai decided they didn't want a statue of Kamehameha there. He didn't defeat them. They surrendered peacefully. So there was no conquering of Kauai. So they're like, "Nah, you guys can take him back." And so they shipped him back to the big island, and we put him up in Hilo. But that is how the Hawaiian Islands became one kingdom under the ruling of King Kamehameha I. Kamehameha means the lonely one. And growing up, he was pretty lonely because of the hit out on his head. So he grew up kind of lonely. He went on to marrying like 20,000 women and had a crap load of kids and some of his kids took ownership. When King Kamehameha II came into power, there was a law in place. It was the Kapu Law. And the Kapu Law pretty much meant that men and women couldn't eat together. Women couldn't eat bananas. They couldn't cook with the men. They couldn't eat with the men. They couldn't do coconuts or bananas. They couldn't eat anything that may be representative as sexually eating or whatever. If you've ever eaten a banana and had a dirty mind, you know why women can't eat bananas. But
Oh, really?
so the son, when he came into being king, he didn't like the couple system. He wanted to be able to eat with his mom. So when he